Hey guys, welcome back to Critical African Thinkers. As you know, this is a place where we examine everything under the microscope of logic to ascertain what is most factual and logically consistent. So today we're going to be talking about the fact that MAGA is currently having a massive and epic meltdown over Donald Trump betraying everything he's ever stood for. And this is represented by the fact that Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes recently had a conversation where they were just bitching and moaning about the fact that Donald Trump has totally, he's gone off the rails. He's preached America first when he was running for presidency. He's preached no more new words. He's preached that he's going to release the Epstein files. Everything he's reneged on. And these MAGA voices, they've about had it up to here. They've had it so much and they are fed up at this point in time. But is anyone really surprised that this is happening? I mean, if they are surprised, then I really don't know what they're surprised for. This is, after all, a man who has been known to lie all his life. He lies about everything. So the fact that they are surprised that Trump is going back on his word is surprising to me. They should know that, right? But before I get into that conversation, before I talk about Nick Fuentes and Alex Jones, I just wanted to give my brief thought on how the US's power is being diminished in the international scene. Now, for me, I think to project power in the national scene, there are three components to that. The three legs to it. There is, diplomacy, there is perception, and then there is force. So these are the three legs, in my opinion, that makes up, having power in the international scene. Now, the US has totally lost both of these. The US has lost diplomacy, the US has lost perception. The only thing that the US has going for it right now is force, and force alone is not able to, sustain power in the international scene. How has the US lost diplomacy? For example, the has shown itself to be untrustworthy when it comes to negotiations. They've done it twice with Iran. While negotiating with Iran, they've proceeded to carry out military strikes on Iran. Now, what does that show you? It shows that your word is not your bond. You're deceitful. People are not going to take the US seriously whenever they're having conversations or you're negotiating with them. They know you're not going to be negotiating in good faith. You think that Russia is going to come to the table to negotiate with the US and expect that the US will keep their end of the bargain if they could not keep their end of the bargain with Iran? Do you think that China is going to be able to come to a conversation with the US and think that they will keep their end of the bargain? No, the US has totally lost it under Donald Trump. They've lost diplomatic power all over the world, and nobody is going to trust them anymore because of this sleazy behavior that they're having. I mean, they destroyed an Iranian Navy ship that didn't have any weapons, that was not participating in any offensive against the US, that was in the Indian Ocean, that was invited by India to participate in a peaceful parade in international waters. The US did that. Everything that the US has done so far is very, very sleazy, very, very dishonest. So the diplomatic angle, the US has totally lost power in terms of the diplomatic angle. Now, in terms of perception, this is, I think, the biggest component of power in the international scene. The perception of what this person is able to do. You don't want to find out what the US will be able to do to you. So that perception keeps people at bay, but that perception has been totally dismantled. I mean, it is unthinkable that any country would think about striking US bases, any country would think about attacking US embassies anywhere in the world. I mean, that country is just wishing for a death sentence. But Iran has been consistently doing that for 6 days now. Now, this just shatters that myth of invincibility, that perception of invincibility that the US is untouchable. It shatters that myth. And it's a bad thing for the US to project power in the international scene when they've lost that perception. I mean, what the hell are you going to do more than what you're doing right now, which is bomb the hell out of Iran, right? And the Iranians seem to be taking it. They seem to be fighting back, right? So the only thing the US has going for it now is force. And force alone does not project power in international politics. And if the US doesn't get a win, which they're unlikely to get in this conflict, then even that itself will be massively degraded. So what ends up happening is that the US is in a much more weaker position, in the international scene, geopolitically, and in every sphere. They are in a much more weaker position, and this is due to Trump's stupid desire, stupid attempt to just go into to be led, basically dog walked by Israel into this tragedy that is currently happening. I mean, how many Israeli soldiers have lost their lives? None that's been reported so far, but Americans currently are dying for a stupid war that Benjamin Netanyahu essentially dog walked the US president into having. Now, the US claimed that three of its fighter jets were mistakenly shot down by Kuwaiti forces. I mean, friendly fire. But then another fighter jet has been downed in Iraq. So, what the hell is happening there? This is not looking very good for the US. Not at all. It's not looking good for US power. It's not looking good for US hegemony. This seems like a breaking point. This seems like how the empire eventually falls, all because of one stupid man who came in with the promises that he is not going to cause any more new wars, but he started wars on multiple fronts, all because of Donald Trump, all because of Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, what they really have on this man was really, really strong for Trump to just be doing the bidding of Israel at every turn. It absolutely makes no sense. Now that I've gotten that out of the way, I would like to dive deep into the conversation that I really want to have today, which is about MAGA having a meltdown over the fact that Donald Trump has totally betrayed them. I mean, what's her name? MTG, Majority Leader Green, has started our own backlash against Donald Trump for months now, and now Tucker Carlson obviously has gone off the rails against Trump for months now. Candace Owens and many of the other big political figures, right? But even those who are Trump's most ardent followers, the Alex Jones type, the Nick Fuentes, are currently calling. I think there was a time just a few while ago when Nick Fuentes was even saying it's better you vote Democrats in the midterm because Trump has totally lost it. He's totally lost the plot. No new wars, and you're starting wars everywhere. America first, and then you are taking American citizens to die for Israel. I mean, there is no projection of power anymore. So we're going to look at how Alex Jones and Nick Fuentes having a meltdown. Who wouldn't have seen this coming? Everybody could have seen this coming, but they are pretending like, oh, this is I fought for Donald Trump. I believed in him. I didn't know he was going to betray us this way. That's always been his life. Almost everybody who's been associated with this man has either been in jail or has been thrown under the bus by Donald Trump. So you expect him to be any different now? No, the man is so selfish. It's all about himself. He doesn't care about anyone. He only cares about his ego. He only cares about himself. So if you can massage his ego very well, then you're going to get what you want from him. But that also makes him fickle because the next person that comes to massage his ego is going to go over to that person. So it doesn't stand on principle. There are no principles here. It's just Donald Trump going in on a whim. And you can see that with the way he's prosecuting this war, right? They've begun to revise their motivations for going into the war. First of all, it was, we want to stop Iran from having nuclear weapons. Then they revised it to, we want to stop Iran from having ballistic missiles. Then they revised it to, it's a regime change operation. And now they're revising it to, well, we knew Israel was going to attack them anyway. And being the impotence that we are, we couldn't do anything about that. So we just let it happen. So we had to attack them first before they attacked us because we knew Israel was going. What the hell? And then Iran said, you know what? We're going to hit you real hard. The other two times Iran said that, they really did not follow through with it. And probably Trump thought that this time was still going to be the same thing. They weren't going to follow through with it. But you've seen what Iran is doing right now. Because for Iran, this is not a war of choice. This is a war of survival. So they have to do everything. And this must be a painful lesson for Israel and the US so that they know not to mess with Iran anymore. You might have the biggest military, but they have the ability to inflict so much pain. And, the MAGA base is beginning to feel that pressure, and they're going to mount that pressure on Donald Trump. So let's get into it.
I'm watching it sink by its own doing. And so this is horrifying. And so, but I can't sign on to covering up Epstein. I can't sign on to World War III.
Oh, you can't side on this. You can't side to Donald Trump on. See how Donald Trump has handled the Epstein debacle. See how he's handled it. He promised that he was going to release the files, and then he released the files, and they did a shoddy job of it anyway. But there were so many redactions. So far, nobody's been prosecuted. So far, nobody's been arrested, despite the evidence that obviously there were many. You think Epstein was just collecting emails? You think he wasn't doing it for a purpose? You think he doesn't have shit on people, on politicians, especially in the US? But nobody's been arrested. Even the British, you can see what's happening to Prince Andrew at this point in time, which shows that at least there's still some semblance of, law, of respect for rule of law. But in the US, all that is totally gone. It's a dictatorship. Everybody bends to the will of Donald Trump. All the politicians, they all bend. He's castrated everyone. For someone who is so incompetent, this is his genius. He just knows how to handle power, suck up all the power from the institutions, and just concentrate it on himself. That's literally what a dictator is, and that's what Trump is. Trump isn't any different from the Ayatollah. He isn't any different from someone like Vladimir Putin, or even different from Kim Jong-un. So his handling of the Epstein files, you really think that the way he handled it, that was the worst of it? But the funny thing is, even though Trump is mentioned in those Epstein files, you're never going to see two of these buffoons. You're never going to see any of them call out Donald Trump. They're going to skirt around it. They're going to talk about Megyn Kelly did the same thing. You will talk around in circles, but nobody's ever going to talk about the fact that Donald Trump is mentioned thousands of times in that Epstein file. Why are they so afraid of calling him out? Because that's how a dictatorship works. I mean, I can see it in my own country. The president is never going to be criticized by people around him. They're going to criticize everyone around him. They're going to say, he's being fed wrong information. He is the man in the driving seat. He is responsible. He should be the one taking all those fire. But they would criticize everything but him, the person that is responsible.
And so that's why I tried to promote the optimism, because I fucking need this, man.
What optimism? Your country is going to shit. Donald Trump is speed running the destruction of the US. You need optimism. Optimism for what? The only hope right now is to get that madman out of the White House. That's just it. Optimism for what? For him to do more shit like this. He's going to continue on this path. He's going to continue on this path.
Like, I want to fix the country. I want to turn it around. So
obviously, you and Donald Trump have very, very, very different ideas of what it means to fix a country. It's very, very different. Donald Trump thinks speed running the destruction of the US, diminishing US power in international scene, breaking diplomatic relations, fighting with allies, attacking countries that have no security threats to the US. He thinks that's the way to go. That's what he thinks. And you voted for him. So this is as much your mess up as it is Donald Trump's.
It's not that I was delusional.
What? You were not delusional? Oh my God. This is the most delusional thing I've ever heard anybody say in the whole of existence. You were not delusional. You, Alex Jones, not delusional. Right.
I still hope we can turn it around, but sorry, go ahead. You get what I'm saying?
I get it. And listen, like I said, I don't think that everybody that supported Trump was being dismissive about these concerns. I get it. We all wanted to believe. I was 18 years old when Trump ran in 2016. And I remember getting in fights with people.
Yeah, I remember that 2016. I remember it because I was also gung-ho for Donald Trump. Donald Trump, good. This is the kind of leader that America needs, not a politically correct leader, fighting the wokeness and all that nonsense, right? That was Trump's appeal in 2016. But he's shown himself for what he truly is. He's a despicable person and has no principles, has no values, no morality, no integrity. So I can understand supporting Trump in 2016, but for the life of me, cannot understand how anyone still thinks he has anything of value to offer at this point in time.
Oh, this is my whole life, too. At 18 years old, I wore the MAGA hat at Boston University, one of the most liberal campuses in the country, and became a pariah on my college campus.
It's sad to see something you fought and bled for die.
Yeah, and that's my whole adult life. I know that's
fought and bled for. What fight has Alex Jones fought? Aside from causing division, aside from causing hatred, what fight? What bleed? These guys are delusional.
It's a huge part of your life also, and now we're witnessing it's totally unraveling. It's an utter and complete betrayal. It's heartbreaking in many ways.
And when I try to salvage it with people, I get attacked as a liberal, which is when these people doing that.
So you're getting it, right? You're getting how stupid MAGA is, because anyone who disagrees with them and their supreme leader is labeled as a liberal, as a leftist, as though that's an insult of some sort. Even someone as right-wing as Alex Jones is being called a liberal for calling out the supreme leader. It's a cult. It's a cult. That's the only logical explanation for why Donald Trump still has any sort of following at this point in time. It is a cult, and you have the way cults operate is that there's blind loyalty. Despite the hypocrisy that the leader is displaying, there is blind loyalty, absolute loyalty.
Can't even find Iran on a fucking map.
Yeah. Well, what's called for is for us to be sober-minded about the entire thing, because there's a lot of Trump haters.
I've been a realist the whole time, but was hoping, and now I'm just not even hoping. I'm just going to be a realist.
Yeah, I mean, and really, it's okay to have hope. I mean, we hope for a better future, but we got to be brutally honest about what this administration has become.
So that is it for you. What is there to be hopeful for? What is there to be? This is what you get. This is what you bought, and this is what you get. This is what Luke Bovine says. His rare sticks bled. This is what you get, because this is the nonsense that you voted for. So don't come crying now and complaining that Trump has betrayed you. No, and the funny thing is that Trump said this when he was running he said all of this. He said he was going to do all of this. He said he was going to do all of this, and nobody took him seriously. They were counting on him not doing what he said he was going to do. I mean, I've seen some Republicans or some MAGA people who said, well, I didn't believe he was actually going to go through with it. Really? You voted for someone on the grounds that he might not fulfill his campaign promises? How does that work? What sort of insanity is that? How do you convince yourself? How do you put yourself into that sort of state where you believe he's just trash talking for something as serious as being the president of a country, of the United States of America? You think he's just trash talking when he said all these things during his campaign? All the terrible things he said he was going to do, he's done all of them. And even the other promises that he said he was going to, he's not done any of that. He's going to keep America out of wars. He's just head on. And where is Jordan Peterson in all of this? I mean, Jordan Peterson during the election cycle was saying, well, what's the harm in having Donald Trump again? At least he didn't start any new wars during his first tenure. So at least there's no risk of him doing that now. Where are you now, considering what Donald Trump is currently doing? Dude is literally a madman, and he's just speed running the destruction of the US. But I'm so confused and surprised at how it seems impotent the US citizens are in dealing with someone like this. And to me, it just shows how fragile American democracy is. It just shows how fragile. If one man could come and just upend everything, if one man could capture the whole political machinery and like a virus turns it to start working for his will, or like a parasite turns the whole political machinery to start working for his will, it just shows that the institutions are not holding. Like Ben Shapiro will say, well, the guardrails held. I believe the guardrails will hold. What? So you're going to put a madman there on the hopes that the guardrails will hold. That's what you're banking on. You obviously know that this person is bad, but you're saying, well, I trust the system enough to be able to handle his badness, so it doesn't matter. Would you want that kind of, if you were running a company, would you want that kind of person as the CEO of the company, or would you want that person as the leader of your household? You know this person is bad, but there are certain principles in our house, and we feel that the guardrails will hold. Those principles are going to keep this person in check. So let them just go in and do whatever the hell they want to do. And that is why you found yourself in this position. So, to reiterate the points that I started with, the US has lost the diplomatic power. They've lost perceptual power, lost the diplomatic power in terms of nobody's going to trust them in any negotiations anymore. They've lost perceptual power. People now know that it's possible to have a standoff with the US and still come out alive. Iran is doing that right now, even though it's taking a lot of beating, which is expected, but it's hitting really, really, really hard. It's hitting back hard. It's the same thing that Russia is going through. I mean, who could have ever imagined that any country would launch an attack into Russian territory? But for months, Ukraine actually took over some Russian territory, and Ukraine has been pummeling Russian territory. What has Putin been able to do about that? So, lost perceptual power. The only thing the US has going for it now is force. And force is I think, is the weakest component in terms of being able to project power in the international scene. If force is all you have, which is what the US has now, then it's game up. It's game over. There's nothing you can do. It's over. And Trump is the man to do it. Anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. I'm by tomorrow I'll probably do another show talking about the predictions of certain Chinese professor on why the US cannot win this war against Iran. So if you just come in, like, share, and subscribe, comment below, and I will see you in another live stream. Luke Bovine, good to see you. It's bye for now.